Hello VC, this is Jeff, Soundhound 1973, trying to film my response video to Eli, nbdrummer, his idea of filming our respective Kiss collections. He has his video up for the last 2 days and it's awesome. So this is my attempt to film it. I'm going to try and not have this go on too long, but just bear with me. I'm here with my two friends, Gene and Paul. I figured I would get these guys out of the way first. This is Paul Stanley. This is the a lot of this merchandise I'm going to show came out around the reunion era. So this is the I believe these were available at Spencer's. I'm not too sure. 24-inch dolls that when you push this, it sings a song from I think it's Love Gun. So I saw these at a convention and I just had to have them. I only have two. I didn't bother getting the other two, but this is my favorite one from the series, Paul in his Love Gun costume. It's pretty impressive when they're standing side by side. I'll get this out of the way. And this one's my favorite. This one's Gene in the Destroyer outfit, 24 inches, and his plays God of Thunder. So it's just the detail on this is absolutely incredible. This was the first one I got. I hadn't planned on getting any more, and then I just had to get Paul. Once I saw Paul was available, I got it. And the detail on this is just incredible. So that takes care of that. Now, I'll just skip through to some, I guess I'll start with some shirts. This is, Love Gun is my favorite album cover, so this shirt is iconic, and it's really, really, really big, the image, so that was cool. This is something my brother-in-law got me when he was in Myrtle Beach at the Kiss Coffee House. That's the front with a little emblem here, and the back, Kiss Coffee House, very cool. This is probably my second favorite image, or probably third. Hotter Than Hell is also a big favorite of mine, but I haven't found a shirt yet for Hotter Than Hell. This is Rock and Roll Over with the back, the image from the inner sleeve. Very cool. Okay, so after that, I think what I'll do is I'll just flip through some of the merchandise that came out around the reunion era. This is a puzzle, just the solo albums. Pretty cool, unopened. This is Gene Simmons, headliner figure. Very, very cool in his iconic pose there. This is in his Love Gun costume. These are numbered and there's like a commemorative card in there. Very cool. Oh, by the way, what's playing in the background is a bootleg Kiss actually opening up for Black Sabbath in 1975, Providence. For those of you that are Kiss collectors, bootleg lovers, this is an awesome show, and it's cool to have them opening up for Black Sabbath, because it wasn't that long after where they were just headlining themselves. This is one of the series of the Psycho Circus dolls with the alter ego. This is Gene, Paul, Ace, Peter. This is pretty cool. This is Gene Simmons, some sort of figure. It's still in the box. Don't know if you can see the detail on that. The packaging is really cool. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've decided just to leave them in there. It's just such great graphics. It's cool. This one's a fave, just because of the Hotter Than Hell themed artwork. This is Gene Simmons. I mean, check that out. That's all I only have Gene. Usually when I'm in a store and I see these things, I usually just go for Gene, as Gene's my favorite. And these are the first figures that got released when they reunited in '97. It's got the letters. This is Paul with the Z, with the S. This is Ace, very, very cool. Lefty sealed. It's Gene. Love the axe base there. This is Peter. Very, very, very cool stuff. Alright, let's move into some Well, I should say that I used to have a very, very large Kiss collection in the 90s. A lot of the 70s stuff, merchandise, like the 2 original comic books, puzzles, the Kiss on Tour board game, the first Kiss on Tour tour book that was released in '76. And I sold a huge bunch of stuff when I went back to school. But some of the things I did keep, I was always into really Kiss books, always reading about studio sessions and just biographies on the band. So I'll show you a little bit of that now. This is a book that was released by the guy that runs the KissFac website. It's just filled with you know, everything having to do with Kiss recordings, studio work. Highly recommend it. It's basically the history of the band in the studio. This is another cool book that came out, Kiss and Sell, by one of their business managers in the 70s, C.K. Lent. Very, very cool book, filled with a lot of really cool stories. This is a series, I believe there's 3 books covering 3 chapters of the band throughout their recording history, again by the gentleman that, I think his name is Julian Gill. Yeah, Julian Gill. He runs the KissFac website. This is volume 1. This is no, sorry, that's volume 2. There's another one in the volume. I mean, these are really good. I reference these all the time when I want to read about a particular recording or demo that I might come across. So it's very, very interesting to have. I have basically all the books that were released, biographies. I didn't bring them all down, just to show you some of the obvious ones. Here's Gene's. This is, I believe, his first biography. This one's his second, and this one actually came autographed. I didn't obtain this autograph personally, but it just says autographed edition. I think he only did a certain limited print. I forget where I ordered this. It showed up autographed, and I had no idea that I even purchased that copy. And it's real. I mean, it smudges. So when I first got it, it smudged. So that's very, very cool to have. Moving on, let's see. Some cool little comics and stuff like that I've picked up over the years. This one is a South American comic. It was displayed at the Kiss convention. That was the only other time I've ever seen this. I've never seen it on eBay or anything like that. It's pretty cool. I think it came out in the late 80s, I think. But it's basically just something... I don't think it's fan-made. I mean, there's a price on it, so I think it definitely came out in the stores. But I've never ever seen another copy, so I've held on to that. This is Raygun. When I believe they released Cycle Circus, they were on the cover, picked it up, grabbed it. Pretty cool layout and article. These magazines were the official Kiss magazines. I don't really know when these came out, what year. 2006. Okay, so they stopped after, I think, I only have 4. I think they did 5 or 6 editions, and then they just stopped. But they're pretty cool because they were done by the band, so they controlled all the content, and it's nice to have. Next up is this I held on to, Kiss Meets the Phantom magazine, the official magazine that came out when the movie came out. So it's pretty cool. Held on to that. Now this is a fanzine. This comes from, I don't know, it's a European fan magazine. I think this came out at the time of Hot in the Shade. And it's just filled, you know, I've always been a big fan of fanzines. I've been subscribing to them since the late 80s. My favorite one was actually run by a gentleman here in Canada, Vancouver, Firehouse Magazine. I believe I'm missing 25 in the complete volume, and I was a member for years, so I've got them all. Don't see them very often, but when they do go up for sale, they're quite valuable, so I've held on to them. Plus, they're another great resource. This guy really knew his stuff, and it's very often that I'll actually go back to a particular period and read up on certain things that happened, and sometimes the stuff in here is actually way more accurate than the magazines that were coming out at the time. And he actually had a lot of interviews done with Kiss themselves, So that's great to have. Comics. This is the Kiss Nation comic. This came out, I don't know when this came out, but it's a direct edition. I don't know too much about this. I actually got 2 copies and sold one. Kiss ended up pulling it off the shelves. They were not happy with the artwork. They were not happy with the way it came out. So from what I'm told, they're difficult to come by, and when they are up on eBay, they can be a little expensive, and they weren't around for very long. So very happy to have that, Kiss Nation. These are a series of comic books. I believe they're unauthorized. This came out, I actually found this in a kind of like a 7-Eleven type store when I was living in Calgary. It was at the cash. I thought that was hilarious, so I picked it up. It's just a comic. Another type of comic that came out in the early to mid 90s. Totally unauthorized. This is a pretty famous one. Gene Simmons was wearing this t-shirt a lot in the 90s, Revolutionary Comics. Just kind of like a comic history of the early period of the band. This is actually a very cool one. These are the ones that Kiss did. This is the Dark Horse series. I have them all, I just didn't bring them all down. I just took one from the pile just to show. It's actually cool, the graphics are cool. This is the Psycho Circus ones that they did. Again, graphics are very, very cool. I got them all, just pulled one from the stack to show. I thought they were well done. I mean, I'm not a huge comic book fan, but definitely picked up stuff that was Kiss related. This is kind of like, looks like a comic, but it's actually the the program that was available during the Kiss conventions. I was able to see them when they came here in Montreal for the Unplugged, and you spent the whole day looking at Kiss stuff, and they gave this at the door. So it's just filled with some of the items that were on display, and you know, it's a really, really cool, you know, original artwork in there, guitars and stuff, and as you can see, that's a very early painting from the Destroyer era, kind of similar to what was eventually released on the Resurrected cover. This I've had this for decades. This is a picture, a real picture, blown up photo of Ace Frehley taken front row at the Montreal Forum in 1977 when they came to Montreal on the Love Gun tour. And a friend gave this to me when he found out that I was a huge Kiss fan. I believe I got this in the late 80s, and I absolutely love it. Obviously this is Ace doing Shock Me. He's at the mic there, Paul's off to the side. Love the guitar he's playing, and just to know that it's from Montreal is pretty cool. Some of the things that I held on to actual merchandise from the 70s were the Kiss cards that got released. The original Kiss cards. There were 2 sets, I believe. The first set and then the second set. This is the second set. It's complete. I mean, literally mint and untouched. These cards here, and when you put them together, they kind of form a picture. They kind of on the back, a Kiss poster. So these are cool. These I held on to because they're just, you know, they're hard to come by, complete, and in this condition. I got them at a convention years ago in the early 90s, and absolutely love them. Some of the photos of Gene in this set are just wicked. So I got that. And then when Kiss reunited, they redid new card series, Cornerstone cards, Collector's Cards Series 1 and Series 2. I got them all. Very, very cool. Cards I've always loved. I've always really enjoyed. And these ones were cool because they were mixed photos of Kiss in the reunion era, like 96, 97, mixed with vintage shots. And some of these shots never seen before. Like there's Paul, I think, playing the Daisy or something. No, Hotel Diplomat. That's cool. Here's a really, I love this old photo of Gene. I don't know if you can see that because of the glare of it. That's awesome. So these I have, both sets. And then I have some of the preview sets that came out. This is a card from the preview set. This was kind of like a 10-card set that came out to promote the cards a couple months before the whole set came out. That's cool. And let's see. just other various cards that I would pick up or friends would give me. These are cool. These are kind of like a gold laminated card. It's a set of 6, I believe. They're called chaser cards, and you had to buy various packs to find these, and then they form a poster at the back. I think a promo poster advertising a Kiss show from '97. Those are cool. Alright, moving on. I think what we'll do is get into some CDs really quick. I don't have any more of the original Kiss CDs. I actually got rid of those when the Remastered series came out in '97. I found the sound a lot better and the graphics were cool. So I won't show all of them. I'll just show stuff that I have doubles of because they come from different countries and some special ones. This is Eric Carr Rockology. I believe it was put together with his family's blessing and with Bruce Kulick. It's actually really, really cool. A lot of this stuff actually sounds like it could have been on a Kiss album. Definitely on Hot in the Shade, it would have fit right in, or Asylum. But that's Eric singing, playing a lot of the instruments, Bruce doing the guitar. Very, very cool. Big fan of silver-pressed Kiss bootlegs from Europe. This one's from Italy, I believe. It's called Unholy Kisses. It's a DAT recording from their San Francisco show when they did the warm-up club shows for the Revenge era before they headed over to the UK for their tour there. This is very, 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 very good show. This is an Ace bootleg, Two Sides of the Coin, just basically filled with Ace demos from the 80s, featuring Richie Scarlett, stuff that didn't make the albums, or demo versions of the songs that made the albums. I really bought it because it contains the 1995 demo he did with 3 songs, Sister, Don't Want to Lose You, and Take Me to the City. Really, really love those songs. And it's nice to hear Sister in its original version. This is Kiss Alive 2. This is the show that was filmed at the Budokan in Japan, '76, supposedly recorded and produced by Eddie Kramer, and it was supposed to be a live album intended for release only in Japan. It never happened, but then when Alive 2 came out, people started to notice similarities between these takes and what ended up on Alive 2. So it's pretty obvious in a lot of the songs that even the introduction from this show, ended up on, like when they say you wanted the best, you got the best, Kiss, ended up on Alive 2. The only difference is that when you hear Kiss, it's Gene who overdubbed that in the studio because he thought the roadie who did the intro in Japan, it sounded like he was saying piss instead of kiss. So you can actually, if you listen, you can actually hear the fade into Gene's voice saying Kiss on Alive 2. Very cool. This is a double bootleg, Fuego in Buenos Aires. It's a soundboard recording from a show they did in Argentina, 1994. Very cool. This is a 76 show, Kiss Rock and Roll All Night, soundboard recording from Toronto, 1976. Very, very cool. This is very cool. I was happy to find this in the early 90s. This is a 2 CD bootleg of 3 rare shows from 1974. Detroit, Washington, and Long Beach, and it actually has versions of You're Much Too Young, or I think what's known as Acrobat. They actually do Love Theme from Kiss live, and Let Me Know. So very, very happy to have this. This is a Kiss demo collection, basically just demo versions of stuff that ended up on the side 4 of Live 2, and stuff like Beck, the original version of Beth, that Peter Criss did with his previous group in 1970. That's cool to hear. Demos of Hooligan, an unreleased song from 1977 called Love Bite, probably around the Love Gun era. Pretty cool. And then the first Kiss demo from '73. Very, very cool. This is a silver-pressed bootleg of Wicked Lester, the Kiss album, or pre-Kiss band that Gene and Paul had. It's cool, and then tagged on at the end is the original Kiss demo from '73. This is Kiss Distelder. This is very cool. This is a silver press CD of the half demos from Destroyer and half demos from The Elder. Very cool, and my favorite track on this is a track called None of Your Business. For those of you who don't know it, check it out on YouTube. It's Peter Criss. In my opinion, it could have been you know, worked with it a little more and ended up on an album. There's two versions, an instrumental and then him singing it with the band. Very cool. I actually bought it just for that. This is a CD that came out a couple of years ago in Japan only. It was a mail order deal. It was basically Kiss with the current lineup redoing classic Kiss songs. It's a Japanese only release. Kind of upset me because they're supposed to be limited, and then they ended up putting it in Sonic Boom as a bonus disc. Not this packaging, just the CD. If you bought Sonic Boom, then you got Kiss Classics. It's actually this album, but this is the original from Japan. Love the graphics on that. Okay, this is Cycle Circus, two versions. One is American, one is Japanese. Actually, no, sorry. This one's the original Canadian, and this one's the American with the bonus CD live, which is not bad, pretty cool. This is two versions of You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. One is from Japan, the other is American. The difference is, on the Japanese version, there's New York Groove. So that was cool. I kind of went through that phase in the 90s where I was buying any albums that I ran across in the stores. I like to have different pressings, different versions of. This is 3 different versions of Greatest Kiss. This is the compilation that came out as soon as Kiss reunited in 96, 97. They released this compilation to kind of generate interest for the tour. One is from Europe, one is American, and one is Canadian. And the track listings are different. Like the Canadian one has 2 sides of the coin, while the European one has Plaster Caster, and the American one has Come On Love Me. So very, very, very cool. They have different versions of that. This is Kiss Unplugged. I actually had this on vinyl when it came out, but it was part of the package of stuff that I sold off. But I kept the CDs. This is just the standard Canadian. This is the Japanese pressing. The difference is Japanese has Got to Choose. And you know, that was a time it was cool to buy that because it wasn't available anywhere else except for the actual show. But then when Kiss released their box set and everything, well then it just got re-released on that. But at first this was the only way you could really get that track. Carnival of Souls, the Canadian and Japanese. No difference in that. Kiss My Ass, one is the Canadian flag, one is the American flag. The Canadian one I always found funny that they didn't censor ass, but the American one they censored ass. I thought that was funny. No difference in the song-wise. Again, before box sets and before things were available everywhere, there were 2 versions that I found of Kiss Alive 3. One is the Japanese, one is the American, and the difference is that the Japanese has Take It Off, which sounds great. I like that version. This is really cool. This is 2 different versions. I didn't even, until like a couple years ago, I didn't even know there were 2 different versions of smashes, thrashes, and hits. One is the standard Canadian pressing. The other one is pressing that came out in South America. And the difference is the one from South America includes Crazy Crazy Nights and Reason to Live. And I believe it's just the same pressing that came out in Europe. If I'm not mistaken, this version, because those songs were so huge in Europe, they took off some songs from the original and added those 2 from Crazy Nights. So I thought that was really cool because I actually really like this compilation a lot. The remixes of Strutter and Deuce and Shout It Out Loud are really good, especially the version of Strutter on here. You can actually hear some difference when you compare them to the original release or even the version that was on Double Platinum. This I've never owned on vinyl, and I hope to one day. It's Kiss Killers. This is the Japanese. This is the German. You can see by the 2 S's that are changed for the German market. And the difference is the German only has 12 songs. Japanese has 14. The difference is this one has Escape from the Island and Shandy. Cool. Double Platinum. This was another cool find. This is the standard Canadian version, just in a plastic typical jewel case. But the American one was a silver foil digipack, which I thought was really cool. And it has the reprint of the award in there. That's cool. And I'm not going to show them all, but I've got them. I've got all Kiss CDs, every single release, and these are from the remastered, and they're really, really good. I mean, in my opinion, the only way to listen to Kiss is on vinyl anyways, but if you're going to have it on CD, These are the, I got the whole remastered series, those are good. And I picked this up in a used store last year. It's Hotter Than Hell, Japan. It's kind of those mini LP looks, and as it's, you know, one of my favorite albums, I had to get it. Okay, next we'll go into some vinyl. Now, I originally sold a lot of my Kiss vinyl, the ones that I had, and sold it all when I went back to school, and of course I'm rebuying them back now, so I feel completely silly. So I don't have very many, but the ones that I do have are really great pressings and in really great condition. So the first one, oh well, the first one I already showed in my introductory. It's Hotter Than Hell. That's a first press blue label. And this is Dressed to Kill. This is also a first press blue label with the kind of like the raised lettering of the Kiss logo around the cover, and it's in really good shape. This album sounds amazing on vinyl. Sorry, they're not in order here. Kiss Alive, I already showed this in a previous video, signed by both Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. This is Destroyer. This is an American first pressing with the thick inner sleeve. Very, very cool. Love that album. This is the Resurrected on vinyl. Very, very cool. This one here, Rock and Roll Over, I had to get. First of all, I love this album, love the production of this album, and this sounds great on vinyl. I picked it up because this one is an RCA Record Club American pressing, and they did a few runs with a blue tier that wasn't included on any other cover around the world. It was only included on this RCA record label out of Indiana, I believe. Kind of like Columbia House, but it's an RCA stamped. And I never saw that before. And when I saw it at the record store, I said, "What is that?" And then I bought it and came home and read up on it and realized, wow, it's actually legit. They just, for some reason, no one really knows, they just put in a blue tier on Paul's audio. So I thought that made it unique enough to buy. This is Love Gun. This is an American pressing in great, great condition. It does not have the gun and it does not have the bang, but it has the original inner sleeve. I'll show this quickly, which I always loved. The inner sleeve, I always loved this inner sleeve. The marble with the blood, Kiss logo in blood. And to my surprise, it had the order form, which I had never seen. And I've owned multiple copies of this album over the years. I have never seen this. I mean, you're lucky enough to find the gun. These are usually tossed or used, right? Sent away for. So the fact that, you know, advertising the Kiss comic, I thought that was so cool. So had to get that. Next up is Kiss Alive 2. It's a good pressing, Canadian. Really, really good copy. It was like the guy never played it. Sounds good. Next up is Double Platinum. This is an American copy, first pressing. Great, great, great copy. And I like Double Platinum. I like the mixes that Sean Delaney came up with. This is Peter Criss. I actually found this at a record store here in Montreal called Beatnik Records. It was sealed, and it's got everything. It's got the inner sleeve, the poster, the subscription form. Awesome. It's the only solo album I have. I just really want to be careful going forward. I don't want to, I mean, there's so many Kiss albums that I just pass up in the bins on a weekly basis. They don't have anything in them and they're not in great condition. A lot of them have written marks on the covers, numbering the song titles. It's crazy. So I only want to get really good pressings. I couldn't pass this up. It was still sealed. I opened it, but just a complete mint copy. Excellent. This I found at a record store here in Montreal called Primitive. Couldn't believe I found this. The first Canadian pressing of Creatures of the Night with the classic black label with the silver lettering. Love this album. It sounds incredible on vinyl and it's in good condition. And once I cleaned up the vinyl, it played beautifully. Very happy to find that. And then the last one on vinyl is the Kiss Monster. Yeah. Good album. Enjoy listening to it on vinyl. Okay, next up I thought I would show a couple little things from my collection here. This is the box set that came out 2000-ish. It's got the 5 CDs and a book. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. And this is special because, cool book, but it's signed by Bruce Kulick. I met him at a convention here in Montreal, and he was kind enough to sign that for me. Another thing that, just cool little things, you know, I said I was really into books. This is a Kiss Collectibles price guide filled with a lot of really cool information. That's come in handy a couple times. This is the Ultimate Fan book that came out a couple of years ago. This is a fantastic book for those of you who like Kiss books. It's filled with a lot of really great photos, stories, and information. Here, I'll just show this very quickly. These are a bunch of tour books that I have. I used to have almost all the tour books back in the 90s, sold them all. This is from the Sonic Boom tour. This is from the reunion show here in Montreal. This is from the Albany show when I went to see them on the same tour in Albany, New York. Picked up the tour book. This is one that they released. Metal Edge did a special version of this. Picked that up in a store here in Montreal. This is a Japanese tour book from 95-96 tour. And this is the supposedly farewell tour that they did. Picked us up in Montreal. It's kind of like a best of all their tour books. It's pretty cool. This is very cool. This is by a photographer called Chip Rock. He shot the band a lot in the early 70s. This was a limited edition of this book, hardcover, with his signature, Chip Rock. I mean, some of those early Kiss photos, his work, my favorite. So it's a beautiful book filled with photos we know and photos we don't know, outtakes of all his best photos of the band. That's awesome. This is a book that no Kiss fan should be without. This is the Kiss Alive Forever touring history of the band. Very well done. It covers all the tours, well, up until that book was released, which was a couple years ago. This is another really cool book called Kiss: The Early Years, done by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, and it's filled with the photos of Warring Abbott, which is a very cool book there. I believe that one's still available. This is very cool. This is a copy of the Kiss auction catalog that was offered to interested buyers when Gene and Paul held their convention, their auction to sell off all the merchandise, road cases, original costumes, everything. Very happy to have this. It's in great condition, and I don't know if you can see the emblems there. Very cool to have that. Very happy about that. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this back here. This is the Kiss, that big collection of comics that they released, that hardcover. That's very cool. I think my prized piece, though, is my Kissery book that came out in 94, 95, around there. It's my prized piece because it's signed by all 4 members of the band. I mean, it came signed that way. I certainly didn't meet them to get this signed. I've met them in 95, and they've signed other things, mainly my Kiss Alive. But I did meet Bill Aucoin when he did a convention here in Montreal, and as soon as I heard that he was going to be there, I brought this because I figured how perfect to have. I mean, there's people that talk about him being the 5th member of Kiss. I mean, if it wasn't for Bill Aucoin and what he did, you know, that whole first tour was completely financed on his American Express card, and he was touched. When I showed him this, he was just really touched, and he signed right at the top, and the autographs are legit and they're great, and it's nice to have Ace's and Peter's autograph in there, along with Gene and Paul's. So that's a favorite. And then this is another book done by Lydia Criss. It's kind of like her version of Kissery. So well done. The stories, the photos in here are amazing. There's Ace's wedding photo the day he got married to Jeanette. Amazing book. Let's see, some other quick things. Books I kept from the 80s. This is a book that I got in a record store in the 80s. Crazy Nights era of the band. It's very cool. This is something that came out around the reunion era. Gene Simmons there on the cover. This is another photography book by Barry Levine, who played a huge role in photographing Kiss. Did a lot of the iconic Love Gun era pictures. And this is a fanzine magazine put together by a fan called Kiss, a Revenge era, awesome. Interviews with Kiss, Bob Ezrin covering that whole recording and pre-tour, preparing for the tour for Revenge. So I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot of other things around the house that obviously I couldn't bring everything down. What I might do is film them and kind of edit them in somehow. But one quick thing before I go and sign off, I wanted to talk about this. I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what this is. In 1995, there was a girl here who played in a band in Montreal called Talamasca. Her name was Ophelia. She put together a Kiss tribute compilation comprised of 17 Montreal artists, and we got to record in a studio. Basically, I was in a band at the time. I'll have to make a separate video talking about my musical history and playing drums in Montreal bands and my experiences in that. But basically, she called me and asked and told me, you know, I want to know if the band that you're in at the time, which was called Tricycle God, would do a track for the CD. The guys didn't want to do it. They were not big Kiss fans at all. In fact, hated Kiss. And when I called her up, I said, well, they don't want to do it, but I want to do it. So would you allow me to put a band together of some friends to provide you with this track? And she said, sure. You know, you got, I forget what it was. It was a time frame. I had to have the DAT in by like 2-3 weeks. So I got together with two of my friends that actually playing with me in the video that I posted the other day. John and Greg played guitar and bass, and we needed a singer because none of us sang. And my friend Tom McDonald, who was producing our band at the time, Tricycle God, was also in the studio doing some demos for a record company in Argyle. So we used some of the time to get together and do this track. He plays rhythm guitar. No, sorry, he doesn't play rhythm guitar. Greg handles all the guitars, but Tom sang in the studio, and we did Makin' Love. And to do a little twist on it, we before the solo of Making Love, we segued into Lover All I Can, and then segued back into the Making Love track. I might actually post it, maybe in a separate video for those of you that are interested in hearing it. But that's a picture of us at the show. They did a release party the night before Kiss did the Unplugged show at the Chateau Champlain in Montreal the next day. So we actually got together, some of the media was there to cover the event, and we got to play our song live. That's where Tom played rhythm guitar. And it's a great compilation. I mean, you know, there's bands doing Baby Driver, Almost Human, Shock Me, Watching You, Charisma, Slaves on Dope. I don't know if anybody knows. They're from Montreal. They're still around, I believe, in some capacity. They did a great song. They did Detroit Rock City, a live cut. And it's just fantastic, you know, and it was a real special time for me. You know, I was, 95 was a great year. You know, I got to see the Bad Boys show in Montreal. Got to go to the Kiss convention and meet the guys. Kiss was actually presented with this album, a special package by the record company, and they were aware of it, and it actually got a write-up in Metal Edge. I had the clipping in a scrapbook. So I was really, really proud to be a part of this. You know, H&V was selling them. It's a nice thing to look back on and hopefully show the grandkids one day that, you know, we did this, and I'm really proud of the way the track turned out. And so I have to say, along with the history book, this is a nice little, you know, item to have in my collection, and the fact that I was involved with it on some level, on some creative level, makes it even more special. So that's very, very cool. I'm sure you can still track some of these down. I see them every now and again in some of the stores, but it's cool if you're into that type of thing, tribute bands. So I think that's it. I can't really think of anything else to show. I mean, after a while it kind of gets a little redundant. So anyways, I just wanted to thank Eli for coming up with this idea, and I really liked his video. He's got some really cool stuff, and I hopefully this will be something that we could do, you know, every couple of months, kind of just do a refresher of, sorry, my dog wants to come in here to the video here, kind of like a refresh of what we've acquired since now, you know. So maybe you know, I definitely like to see other members get involved and show their Kiss stuff. I'm always very, very interested in seeing what other people have. And I want to do a quick thank you to all the subscribers that have subscribed to my channel since my last video. I really appreciate it. It just blows me away that people take the time out of their busy schedules to check out a couple of, you know, videos in a couple of minutes. Even if it's just a couple of minutes and you're scanning through, it really means a lot to me. And you know, thank you to everyone who's been so kind and just very supportive. And that's it. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Eli, thanks again. And we'll talk soon.